on this chilly morning, but sunshiny day. And welcome all.
Okay.
Oops. Okay, I'm having trouble with this thing. There. Okay. Who do we have? We have Steve laying on his side, recuperating from surgery. And we have Susan, who's agreed to be our speaker at the last minute. We have Yvette. We have Wendy Pino. Wendy, it's so glad to see you here. I hope your surgery went
Hi.
well.
Good morning.
Good morning, darling. I hope you're doing well.
Doing good. Thank you.
Good, you're welcome. And Dawn and Neva, it's good to see you here today. Can you hear us okay? Okay, I'm sure they can. They would let us know if they can't. So welcome everybody. Welcome Bill back from New York City. We don't have any announcements. Yes, Thanksgiving is coming up next month, and it's been suggested that we have a Thanksgiving potluck for our family here on the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So I'd like some feedback on it if anybody's interested in doing that. I think it would be a wonderful way. We had thought about having something on Thanksgiving, but everybody's got commitments out and about with family and friends. So we're thinking that the best thing to do is the Sunday after as far as a family thing here. So let me know your thoughts on it and we will continue with that. We have a prelude. You Raise Me Up by Margaret Cheesebro. Thank you, Margaret. And we had a change of venue today. So our lovely Susan Barnes in Belize, Central America, is going to be giving our talk today, and she's also going to give us our opening prayer. Susan, to you.
Good morning. It's such a beautiful day, whether you're down there or up here. No, you're up there, I'm down here. And so let us give thanks for everything. Let's take a deep breath and just let that fill our whole being. Creator, Mother, Father, God, We give thanks for all the things that we have and hold. We give thanks for the eyes that we can see. We can see the beauty that you have created. We give thanks for our ears that we can hear the kind words, the loving words, the hopeful and encouraging words that others speak to us. We give thanks to be able to smell the wonderful flowers and the fragrances and all the smells of nature, fresh cut grass, roses, all these things. Give thanks for our sense of touch, that we can hold one another, we can touch things, we can feel them, feel the grain of wood, feel the warmth from another person's body, that we can feel the softness of silk. All these things we give thanks for, and we give thanks for the use of our minds that allows us to think beyond what other people would allow us, to think beyond those things that would control us, to think with an open mind and to be able to experience new things, no matter what our age. It doesn't have to be as it was in the past. And so we give thanks for all the new things that come into our life, even those things we think are not so good, because oftentimes those are the opportunities that gives us strength to go on and to open up our perception, to see things in a different way, to see things as you would see them. For all of these things, we give thanks. And we give thanks for this day. Just everything that's happening in a good way. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Susan. Good way to look at today. We have a song by Margaret, number 90 in your brown book, Build in My Soul. Shay.
Build in my soul, O Spirit of beauty, the kingdom of Christ, God's plan. Open my being, bless all my life with the glories of His true man. Oh, quicken my mind with unclouded thought, my heart with creative feeling. Build in my soul a strong inner peace from the kingdom of Christ, God's plan. Build in my soul, O infinite Spirit, the best of pure life bestows. Let me now speak with transforming power your word with a faith that knows. Oh, quicken my mind with glorious light, my heart with limitless treasures. Build in my soul a mighty retreat of the best that pure life bestows. Build in my soul, O Spirit of oneness, your blessings for me to share. Cause me now to love the children of God with the freedom beyond compare. Oh, quicken my mind with currents divine, my heart with total elation. Build in my soul an infinite joy from the blessings that I can and share.
Thank you, Margaret. Beautiful.
Thanks.
If you will read in your bulletin the reflection moment. Love produces a flow of energy that I now feel. I love others more than ever, and I feel privileged to be here. Love flows from one person to another as we create an atmosphere of holiness, and so it is. At this time, we send healing light to some people that we know that are in recovery and healing mode or in need of a power to be able to deal with what they're dealing with. And we have several people on this list. I don't know if we want to tone all their names or how you want to do it, but George, I talked to George this week and he is doing better. He's they've finally controlled his UTIs and gotten his catheter out, and that's in 2 years, that's a miracle, it really is. I talked to Ron a couple of weeks ago and he did a sleep study and he's waiting to find out what they are going to suggest for that. And I have not talked to Fred, but I think Margaret did. You talked to Fred?
A couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, his mother is hanging in there, but they've also found somebody else to come in and help with her when he has to be gone. And our dear Fred, Steve, our dear friend Steve is dealing with some complications to his eye surgery that he had last week. And so he is on his side in bed for weeks to come until this heals properly. So would like to keep all of these people in our thoughts and prayers, that they deal with what God has given them to face, and that they understand that if God takes you to it, he will get you through it. And we know that they need our prayers, and we will do this for them because this is what we do. So blessings to all of them.
Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to inform you all that I'm sitting in the hot tub right now, taking a break from the bed.
On your left-hand side in the hot tub?
No, but my face is down, and that's close enough.
Okay. All right, check
But
in
yes,
once in a while. Check in once in a
yes,
while so we know you don't drown.
yes. Kate and I had a wonderful talk with George also, and he sounds like he's doing so much better. So
He
thanks for
did.
all of your prayers.
Yes. Thank you, Steve. Okay, we have a spiritual reading, and were you going to do it? Yeah, Shay is going to do that for us.
Good morning. This is from The Obstacle is the Way. Love everything that happens. At age 67, Thomas Edison returned home early one evening from another day at the laboratory. Shortly after dinner, a man came rushing into his house with urgent news. A fire had broken out at Edison's research and production campus a few miles away. Fire engines from 8 nearby towns rushed to the scene, but they could not contain the blaze. Fueled by the strange chemicals in the various buildings, green and yellow flames shot up 6 and 7 stories, threatening to destroy the entire empire Edison had spent his life building. Edison calmly but quickly made his way to the fire through the now hundreds of onlookers and devastated employees looking for his son. "Go get your mother and all her friends," he told his son with childlike excitement. "They'll never see a fire like this again." "What?" "Don't worry," Edison calmed him. "It's all right. We've just got rid of a lot of rubbish." That's a pretty amazing reaction, but when you think about it, there really was no other response. What should Edison have done? Wept? Gotten angry? Quit and gone home? What exactly would that have accomplished? You know the answer now. Nothing. So he didn't waste time indulging himself. To do great things, we need to be able to endure tragedy and setbacks. We've got to love what we do and all that it entails, good and bad. We have to learn to find joy in every single thing that happens. Of course, there was more than just a little rubbish in Edison's buildings. Years and years of priceless records, prototypes, and research were turned to ash. The buildings, which had been made of what was supposedly fireproof concrete, had been insured for only a fraction of their worth. Thinking they were immune to such disasters, Edison and his inventors were covered for about a third of the damage. Still, Edison wasn't heartbroken, not as he could have and probably should have been. Instead, it invigorated him. As he told a reporter the next day, he wasn't too old to make a fresh start. I've been through a lot of things like this. It prevents a man from being afflicted with ennui. Within about 3 weeks, the factory was partially back up and running. Within a month, its men were working 2 shifts a day, churning out new products the world had never seen. Despite a loss of almost $1 million, that's more than 23 million in today's dollars, Edison would marshal enough energy to make nearly $10 million in revenue that year, 200 plus million today. He not only suffered a spectacular disaster, but he recovered and replied to it spectacularly. The next step after we discard our expectations and accept what happens to us, after understanding that certain things, particularly bad things, are outside our control, is this: loving whatever happens to us and facing it with unfailing cheerfulness. It is the act of turning what we must do into what we get to do.
I can think of several people that this applies to right now. Susan being one of the first ones. The upheaval in her life this past year has been simply amazing, and her acceptance of it, whether willingly or not, has been admirable. But I know that she sees the future as bright and promising, as we all do. And so just realize that when man plans, God laughs anyway. It's not up to us. We just follow in his will, and hopefully it's our will also. Thank you very much, Shay. Very good wisdom. Okay, where are we? We have another song. Number 148 in the book, I Am Rich in Thee.
Again. There is no lack, no poverty, thy well of plenty flows for me. Whate'er I do, where'er I see, there is no lack. I'm rich in thee. I'm rich in thee. I'm rich in thee. Thy well of plenty flows for me. Thy wealth of substance now I see. There is no lack. I'm rich in thee. Lord, I would feel thy substance fine and rich, my soul with wealth divine. So bless my word that I may see there is no lack. I'm rich in thee. I'm rich in thee. I'm rich in thee. Thy well of plenty flows for me. Thy wealth of substance now I see. There is no lack. I'm rich in thee. I have received, I thank thee, Lord. My soul with heavenly wealth is stored. All praise to thee, all praise to thee. There is no lack. I'm rich in thee. I'm rich in thee. I'm rich in thee. Thy well of substance now I see. There is no lack, I'm rich in thee.
Thank you, Margaret. Very perfect. Very perfect. Now we have our lovely Susan Barnes from Belize, Corazal, Belize, Central America, which seems like a long way away, but she's right there, right there. And it's almost like having her in the building with us. So thank you, Susan, for stepping up to the plate at this last minute. I do appreciate you. And let's hear what you have to throw our way, okay?
Okay, so when you were thinking of what to talk about, what I've been hearing a lot of is where is God in the Bible? And it's not where you think, because it's definitely not in the Old Testament at all. When they talk about, and you go back to the original language, the Elohim and the other names, Yahweh, the thing is that it means the powerful ones, the ones who came from heaven to earth, but it doesn't mean God or creator. So most of the God stories in the Old Testament, not the New, in the Old Testament, are really not stories of a God, but rather from people or beings that came from other places and who became very powerful and were ruling over human beings. So, when we talk about God, right now we're saying an all-powerful, all-loving, all-forgiving, all-merciful. That certainly does not describe the God of the Old Testament. The God of the Old Testament is vengeful. It will punish you forever. There's no mercy. There's really no love. There's lots of fear. In fact, people like Billy Carson went through the whole Old Testament and found that God only killed like 300,000 people, whereas the devil never killed anyone. So who is it that the stories are all about? It definitely is not about an all-merciful, all-loving God. And when we talk about Jesus, whose name was Yeshua, we find that he doesn't mention the name Yahweh at all. And he does talk about an all-loving, all-merciful God, a God who is our Father. So where is God? Well, actually, if we listen to Yeshua, he will tell you that God is within each one of us. We all contain that Christ consciousness, that God consciousness. And it was very interesting today because at book reading, none of us had the book at the time. And we were talking about how many wonderful people we know, what good people we know. And these are the kind of people that we want to fill our lives with. So let's go back to the Old Testament. Who is it that these people are worshiping? Well, every city-state back then had its own deity. And oftentimes they were those who came from heaven. Because in some of the background between Billy Carson, Paul Wallace, who was 30 years an Anglican priest, until he started reading what the words really meant. And he said, this isn't about God. This is about those beings who have big egos and who want to control us. And they want to control us with fear. So think of all the things that you might be fearful of. Whether it be cold or dark or people stealing from you. It's really hard for me to think. I hear about some things, awful things that other people do to those, and I go, how can they do that? Can they do that to other humans, to their brothers and their sisters in spirit? Because we are all related in spirit. So thinking about the ones they call Yahweh or God in the Bible, the Elohim, the powerful ones, and they make you afraid to do certain things to control you, and control is the issue here. And if you look at today's world, it's still a world of control. Even, okay, let's go back 2,000 years, not quite, at the fall of the Roman Empire. And it was during the fall, that was when Constantine was emperor. And he was trying to figure out how to get the people to do what he wanted. And so he was looking at the so-called Christians at that time, which there were many, many different sects of what we would call Christianity. And he said, yes, this is a good way to control them. Well, the empire was falling apart. So what they just did is they moved everything from the Roman government and made it the Holy Roman Catholic Church. And they're still controlling you with fear. That if you do this, you're going to be punished. If you don't say your prayers just right, you will be punished. Why? There is no reason except that they want to control you. And they're doing that with fear. When we go back to the ones who came from heaven, who might that be? There's many people who believe it's the Anunnaki. These are the people who came from Nibiru, which is the planet that circles the sun every 3,600 years. And they came down and they wanted to control because they were mining the gold from Africa. So when we think about this, and we think about how can we, as metaphysical people, get in touch with the real God? Is there a real God? Now, it's interesting because, like Billy Carson says and Paul Wallace says, they still have remained very much what we would call Christians. The Christ consciousness is what they see, but not what's put forth in the Bible. And they see that what we need to do is be that all-loving, all-merciful, loving God. Because that's what's within us, within each one of us. That's what is the electrical energy that motivates us to do the things that we do. And it's all frequency and vibration. You're just a frequency and a vibration. You're mostly, the space between atoms is huge. So what are we? It looks like we're physical, but we're not. We're a vibration, and we're vibrating at a certain rate. And this is what we need to do. When you elevate and you vibrate at a higher rate, you can do more things like what they talk about, miracles. You can see miraculous things happening. When you elevate your frequency, you can heal. And it's one of the reasons why we bring people's name up. So Steve's eyes can heal faster than what maybe the optometrist or the doctors would say that he can. I'm thinking about Anita Morjani, when she changed her frequency, changed her mind, when she raised herself up. Oh, wasn't that the song? You raised me up. When your frequency is raised up and elevated to a higher level, then your whole body vibrates higher and you are whole and you are well. When we find people that are maybe sick or have some disabilities, why do they have them? Because of the frequency. Now, to turn them around, as Shay was saying, to turn them around and to see the positive in that, to let the world know that we don't have to vibrate at those lower levels. We can raise ourselves up and we can vibrate at a higher level. And in doing so, we are healed. So I guess part of when I had agreed to do the talk, I was also hoping to involve some of you out there. Because some people say, well, but isn't that God somewhere? And from what I'm hearing and I'm reading about, there is no God in the Old Testament. There are only beings of power who want to control us. Then we come to the New Testament and we listen to what Yeshua has to say. And oftentimes what he says is what is said by Krishna, by Buddha, by any of those higher spiritual masters. But he doesn't talk about God as that. He talks about as God as our Father. Even the Lord's Prayer, our Father, because we are all one. And that's the thing that we need to realize. We need to work in cooperation with each one of our brothers and our sisters. That we are all here to help each other, to elevate one another, to help you see the good through even the things that are difficult for you to look at and to experience and go through. There's always those. So anyway, when we're looking at all of these, let's go back, let's see, the first 5 books of the Old Testament, supposedly the story of Adam and Eve, and then the descendants of Moses. Well, first of all, we have Noah too. And a lot of them lived a long time. So we wonder what was going on. Some say we were genetically modified to lower our ability to live longer. So what's that? Control. We don't want people to think too much. We don't want people to get different ideas. So Adam and Eve were not supposed to eat of the fruit of good and evil. Why? Why would we not want to know? And perhaps even knowing that There is no good or evil. You need to, it's like the Chinese have yin and yang. You have to have dark and light. You have all good, all bad, supposedly, but together they balance. They bring you to a state of balance. So going to Adam and Eve, eating of the tree, where was this? In the Garden of Eden? Was it a garden where they could live in peace and harmony? Well, not if you're told you can't eat of this tree, you can't eat of that tree, you can't eat of the tree of knowledge, you can't eat of the tree of life. You're being told what to do, you're being told where to live. Isn't that control? And then that they were locked out of the gate. Well, were they locked out? Or did they choose to leave? You know, there's two ways to look at that. If they were locked in, doesn't mean they were prisoners. So we want to say, okay, they had these three sons. Who did the three sons marry? And how did the human population keep growing? What if these stories that supposedly were only 5,000 or 6,000 years ago are much older? There's some people who say, well, they have found footprints, human footprints, that are like 1,000,000 years old. How could they do that if the Earth is only 5,000 or 6,000 years? I guess what I'm trying to say is that just because everyone says so doesn't make it so. That we need to look further into things. So what if there was a human population a million years ago? And if that's so, what about the flood? What about other things? They have found layers in the earth, the archaeologists of today, that indicate that there may be like at least 5 huge destructions that happened to the earth. We know there's a city and temple down by Japan. We know that there was a city, a huge city, right off the coast of India. So a deluge, the earth shifted. I keep hearing from you guys that there's lots of earthquakes going on. So these times of destruction seem to be periodic in nature. And if that's so, then we have to restart the whole thing all over again. So where we are today is not at the highest level of technology. When you think about it, how long ago was it when we're talking about Edison, telephone? Well, that was Alexander Graham Bell. Wrong person. Oh, electric light bulbs, even electricity. All of these things. How long ago? That wasn't more than 200 years ago. 125, 150. All of these things came about. And now we have artificial intelligence. So many things to think about. So let's talk about the deluges, the destructions of that, and that's starting over again and starting over again. And so there were people outside Eden. So when Adam and Eve were thrown out with their 3 sons, their 3 sons married, people that were on the outside of the gate. Now they couldn't go back in. But then again, why would you want to go back in to a place that was controlling you, telling you what to do, how to do it? Is that really where you want to be? Most of the people who are thinkers, as most of us are, don't really want to be in that kind of a condition. We want to see and feel that true God energy that's flowing through us. And when you're doing good things and when you're feeling well, you know that the real creator is flowing in every cell in your body. So going further on, like I said, destructions, we have proof of that, other places. And then starting over again. And then with the Roman Empire wanting to control, because the whole thing about the God of the Old Testament is a God of, like I said, of vengeance, of fear, control. Is that really where you want to be? I don't think so. You want to look into things. You want to see things in a positive, loving way, in a way of abundance. You know, everything that, all of the songs that were being sung, I was thinking, gee, all of these apply to us right now, to have our vibrations raised by the thoughts that we think, to be able to think without being blinded. So I was reading a short story last night. It was about a very powerful person, but they were told by their teacher that they could never do this one thing. And so they never did it. And it kept them in their place. There were others who were controlling them. And then there was somebody who thought outside the box, didn't let them control them, said, look, I'm free. And they go, well, where did I get that idea? And they realize they've been programmed for it. How many people think that they're sinning because of what they've been told at the churches? Really? Is this a sin? Is that a sin? The one thing I like about Course in Miracles, it says there is no sin. There are only different ways to look at things, errors, things that will help you grow and learn and become a more spiritual person, a better person, a more loving person. Isn't that what we really want? It's not to look at the things in a negative way. Okay, so right now, we're experiencing a lot of things. Kate was talking about, what is it, A1 Atlas, whatever the flying object that's behind the sun. Rather, it's another huge platform containing a lot of extraterrestrials or whatever, which it could be. There are people who have been up to the moon and said, well, the moon was hollow. And you think about Darth Vader and the flying ship, the Death Star. Why is it that the moon is at a different angle from all the rest of the moons? Why is it that it sounds hollow? These are questions that we have, we don't know the answers to. But what if it was like a Death Star or a star that moved, a ship that moved a lot of people because something bad was happening on their planet and they came here. And they could have been the ones from heaven who came down here. Who knows? There's a lot of different theories. And I don't know which one's right or which one's wrong. I just know that there's a lot of different ways to look at things. And that we have been told this is the way it is. Not necessarily. And when we do something wrong, we're going to be punished for it. Not necessarily. And why do we believe the things that we believe? Because that's what we were told when we were growing up. And it ain't necessarily so. We need to realize that we were given a brain. We can investigate, we can look into. It's why I listen to things like Paul Wallace or Billy Carson or Alex Ferrari. They all have people on their podcasts that talk about different ways to look at things, different ways that we can grow and become better people, different ways so that we don't become so judgmental. And that's the thing. As a people, we're very judgmental. You don't do things my way, then you're not doing them the right way. Really? There's more than one way. I love it when Jerry always says, you know, your way might be the right way, but that doesn't make my way wrong. It's right for me. Or until I learn something different. And the other thing is, you know, some of us are over 50. And we've done things for so long, but we have to be open to new ways, to keep learning, to keep growing, to see the good where other people can only see fear. Right now in the country, it sounds like there's a lot of people that are filled with, well, they're afraid of what the president's going to do. They're afraid of what the other presidents did. They're afraid of being politically correct, or what is the other leaders of other countries going to do. There is so much fear. And I like it when you think, you know, where there is fear, perfect love casts out all fear. So we need to find the love and not dwell on the fear. Know who it is that always walks not beside you, within you. You have all power. You are a part of God, a holy child that's worth everything, that's wonderful, that's loving, that's happy. These are the things that it's not that you deserve them, it's that they're yours. But when will you claim them as yours? Those are the things that you need to look at. And so I have rambled because I have absolutely no plan on all of this. But I hope that I gave you some thoughts to think about. And so now I'm just going to let you think about them. And hopefully I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Susan. Wonderful talk. A couple of things. Made me think of a song from years ago, and I can't remember much about it. Was it a hymn or something? It ain't necessarily so, but there was a song about that.
Porgy and Bess.
Yeah?
Yeah, so it's Porgy and Bess.
I love that, yes. So, you know, what we reach out for and what we accept as our own selves, and God walking with us, within us. And I've always questioned the Old Testament, always. I've never appreciated the Bible for what it says. So thank you for enlightening us on that and for giving us food for thought. There's always room for that. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say to Susan? Nope. we're
Yeah,
all good.
Susan,
Oh,
that's going to be one of my favorite talks of yours. Thank you so much for your resourcefulness.
sometimes I think her rambling is better than her program talks. But thank you and bless you, and thanks for stepping up and covering our butts today. We really do appreciate that, and I hope that your week goes well. We have a song from the binder, You'll Never Walk Alone, and that is very apropos. Just for you, Susan.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
Yes.
Oh, don't get me wet. Okay. Today in class, we painted these for Halloween, and that's it. The brownies on the table. But we painted these for Halloween, and
Happy Halloween.
you guys say it.
Happy Halloween.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you for the Halloween decorations. They're beautiful.
You're welcome.
we will hear from Bill Clark for closing.
Good morning, everyone. Today's topic is bad, good, or best. Bad, good, or best. Life is a series of choices between the bad, the good, and the best. Everything depends on how we choose. That's a quotation from Vance Hanver. Making mindful choices can be a chore. It's easy to make a choice based on what we've always done, or what seems to be the easiest or most comfortable. But is it best? It can be a challenge to face that question head on and wrestle with the follow through and the dedication it might require of us. The walkaway is, I want to be more aware in my decisions. I will avoid unhealthy options, but more than that, I want to create a lifestyle of following the best path. It might include choices that require more time, effort, and care. It will be worth it. Let's all have a great week. God bless.
Thank you, Bill.
And watch out for those goblins on Friday.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Last night?